Okay, good afternoon. My name is Julia Lopez Rojo, and I'm going to present my course planning, which is going to be divided into 10 different sections. I will start with the introduction, then I will move on to the context, then we'll cover objectives, then in section number 4, we'll deal with methodology, and then in number 5 we will have the block of contents, and then in number 6 we'll deal with course development, in number 7 we'll talk about complementary and out of school activities. Then in number 8 I'll deal with materials and resources. And finally, in number 9 I will talk about treatment of mixed ability, and I will finish with evaluation. So first of all, I'd like to say that my course planning is designed for the academic year of 2016-2017 and for the advanced level 2 in the context of official language schools in Andalusia. Of course, my course planning is supported by the Royal Decree 1629/2006 and by the modifications included in Royal Decree 999/2012, which regulates the official curriculum at official language schools in Spain, and also the Decree 239/2007 on the Order 18th October 2007, which, as you know, regulates the official curriculum of official language schools in Andalusia. And of course, we must also highlight the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, published in 2001, because we know that since then, since its publication, official language schools have also borne in mind their regulations in terms of levels and also in terms of the official curriculum. And of course, we cannot forget to mention the plan for the promotion of plurilingualism passed by the autonomous government of Andalusia in 2005, and since then EOI have been expanding in number of centers and also have been given more importance in terms of teaching and learning languages. Therefore, we should definitely highlight them. Okay, I will now continue with the context. It is important to say that we all know that course planning could not possibly be designed in a vacuum, because it is precisely the context, this step, which is going to it is the step in which the official curriculum, Order 18th October 2007, is applied to a specific school context. And therefore, that doesn't mean that my course planning could not be adapted and therefore modified to be applied to any other school contexts. However, I've decided to focus on an official school which is located in a coastal area in Chiclana de la Frontera, in Cádiz. That means that there are plenty of foreigners living and visiting the city. So therefore, students will have plenty of opportunities to practice language outside the classroom. And for example, there's an American teacher in charge of the Facebook group Walk and Talk Chiclana, where students can simply opt for a stroll along the beach while they speak in English, or for example, there are many conversation clubs where students can suddenly spring up and find a tandem partner, or simply hold small informal talks from time to time. So we believe this is a very important aspect to highlight in the context. Also, we must mention that it is a medium-sized school, so will be between the main important things to highlight. We may say that they favored personalized education, and therefore they want to promote students to become real active learners and prepared to assume their lifelong learning. And we must also say that the official language school, the department, the English department is medium-sized too. There are novice teachers, interim teachers, therefore, and also experienced veterans. And we believe this is precisely one of the most enriching elements of this department, not just a great coordination, but also the enriching element or the atmosphere which is fruitful in all directions, right? The profile of the students at official language schools is mainly composed by adults. And of course, we will find that there are some of them who are older students, and this will pose great difficulties because older students find more weaknesses in terms of speaking skills and team skills. So therefore, this is something the teacher must bear in mind while planning the activities and lessons beforehand. And also we will find among their students bachillerato students, among our groups, bachillerato students or A-level students, which are commonly referred to as false beginners. We will also find those who passed the intermediate level and which therefore came from the free modality, and those also who passed the initial placement test. What is commonly known as PIC, Prueba Inicial de Clasificación, and also we will find official students, of course, and these are going to be present in my group, and these were students who have been studying at this school for a long time and therefore show a reasonable degree of competence and performance. The rest will may need a clear note on attention to diversity or a treatment of mixed ability, which will be dealt with in some detail in section number 9. And finally, I would also like to highlight that my students are going to be highly motivated due to two main reasons. First of all, because people from this area are aware of the multiple possibilities of promotion at work. It will entail to reach a level like the advanced level 2 supposes, and also of course they will have to sit their final certification test, prueba unificada de clasificación, and this will mean that they will have significant pressure on their shoulders, but this will be translated into a more conscious and active learning activity, which is something we believe it is to highlight. Then we will find objectives. I will move on to objectives, and we must stress that they should be regarded as the guide for the selection of contents and for the evaluation criteria too. The objectives that are to be met at this level are based on Royal Decree 1629/2006 and also Decree 239/2007, and also in the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And now it is important to know that in the advanced level 2, students will have the chance to deepen understanding and to reach a more consistent B2 level. So they will have to deal with a variety of Englishes, so to speak. Alright, so they will have to deal with different accents, and they will have to express themselves with great fluency and accuracy, of course. We will find among them main objectives, they have been divided, into general objectives and specific objectives. All right, among the general objectives, I would like to highlight that they will have to develop communicative competence in both the spoken and written forms. Also, it is important for them to develop communicative and learning strategies and attitudes. So this means that students will boost successful communication, and they will also we will also be raising students' autonomy. And it is also important to highlight that they may enhance linguistic, social linguistic and pragmatic competences, considered as a whole as communicative competences by the Common European Framework of References, increase plurilingualism and pluriculturalism, and once again the integration of skills, motivations, attitudes towards the language too, and finally promote intercultural awareness and otherness. This means that students will not only be able to learn about their own language and culture, but also about that of others. And if we move on to the specific objectives now, we must highlight here the 4 skills plus 1. So these entail listening, oral comprehension, reading, written comprehension, and of course speaking and writing and interaction, right? So we've got the 4 skills plus 1, right? Interaction. Okay, so as I said before, at this level, students will have to deal with different complex texts, and they will have to try to include technical vocabulary, so they will be dealing with the specialization fields, and of course in the speaking and writing they will be asked for a great degree of fluency and accuracy in terms of interaction. And I will move on now onto the methodology. In the methodology, I would like to highlight that it goes in line with the teaching philosophy of official language schools and also the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. So I've decided to focus on an eclectic and holistic approach, and following these methodological approaches. Communicative language teaching. So grammar is important as a means to an end, not an end in itself. I would also like to highlight task-based learning. So it is important that we stress this approach because it provides that we focus on our students, so therefore it's learner-centeredness, and it is also experiential learning. So following a task-based sequence, students will actively look for forms instead of receiving them passively from the teacher, something which very much favors incidental learning. All right, now I would also like to highlight blended learning. We all know that technologies are powerful tools to use in the classroom because they, of course, bring more motivation and efficiency. So we will try to use them as much as possible in the classroom, but of course remembering that it should be only something, a complementary resource, so we would be dealing with them, but as something complementary. And of course we must be aware of the multiple possibilities they offer. So for example, in terms of be up to date, students can go online, and these will allow them to see the international newspapers, international radio stations. So we believe it is a great way to keep up to date, and also to provide authentic and realistic opportunities for them to practice. And in this respect, we would like to highlight an application we have found extremely useful, and it is called Quizlet. If you go on page 14 in my course planning, you can see a link of it. and we believe it is a great tool to, which provides students with an online platform where they can simply create their flashcards, and they can also play games regarding collocations, pronunciation, meaning, and so on. So it is a very nice tool we would like to use in our classroom. Then I would like to highlight interdisciplinary learning, or the multiple intelligences theory by Gardner, and also content-based instruction. It is believed that students learn more efficiently when the focus is on content rather than form. And of course, in the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, it is important to bear in mind that students will be able that the teacher will be able to deal with different learning styles and needs. And finally, of course, self-learning, which involves metacognition and involves metalinguistics too. So error should be considered part of their learning, and language for use, it's important to highlight too, because we want students to learn the rules, but for effective communication. And fluency must always occur before accuracy, and with the respect of self-learning, we believe that they will activate through the metacognition and metalinguistics their micro-skill and strategies. So therefore we will be boosting self-learning. And of course, we would also like to highlight here the European language portfolio as a great way and extremely crucial in the methodological approaches, because it will provide students with a guide to self-direct their learning and also self-evaluate their progress. And well, we have also included a project for the enhancement of an application of the European language portfolio that you can see in my course planning on page 15. And all the activities are classified according to autonomy and strategic learning. Therefore, dramatic attention must be drawn to strategies. It is important that we get to know how our students learn and how we can make them better learners. All right, I will move now on to the contents.
Okay, 17 minutes already.
In the block of contents, we must know that it is divided into 3 different sections. So, specific components. So all of my teaching units deal with functions, discourse, phonetics and spelling, grammar, lexicosemantics, social linguistics, contents and intercultural awareness, as well as strategic learning and a final task. My teaching units are divided, of course, according to terms regarding Spanish holidays. So they will be divided into 3 different terms, and you can have a look at my teaching units from pages 17 to 20 to see more thoroughly the components and the examples of them. And then I will move on to the course development. Course development now. So, as you know, my students will attend 2 lessons a week plus 1 Friday a month, as regulated by Decree 301/2009. Although I'm aware of the fact that some schools do not have lessons on Fridays, so therefore I will try to adapt to my course planning if that were the case. And you know that the regular timetable for a teacher who has no headship will be of 30 hours and 5 hours at home. And every teaching unit is intended to be covered in 4 sessions of 2 hours that I said before. And of course they will last between 110 and 115 minutes, because we never know how long an activity is going to take. Sometimes it may take slightly longer, sometimes it may take slightly less than initially thought. And since I wanted to bear in mind those days where I have some time to spare, you can go on page 22 of my course planning to see the proposal I have for that days where I can spare some time. Here I can include some examples, like for example, jumble sentences, chain story, picture dictation, and fact and fiction, among others. And I have also included a proposal of calendar for advanced level 2 that you can check to see the teaching days, the holidays, as well as the evaluation sessions. And I will now move on to the complementary and out of school activities. Well, we want to highlight here that we believe the complementary and out of school activities are a great way to boost group cohesion and also to promote positive attitudes towards language too. So we've included a proposal of some activities, and here I would like to highlight only a few of them. So for example, we proposed a Christmas market where students can participate in a jumble sale, bring in some second-hand items, and we can also, it would be an activity where all the departments of the school would be involved. So therefore we could promote interculturalism too, and therefore we could also classify the different stands. So we could have culture, and we could have have students selling some items of clothing, or some products, or some food they made, and also we wanted to highlight a cultural visit to Gibraltar. And we have also organized a gymkhana for that. So you can find on page 75 of Appendix 1 the treasure hunting map I've prepared myself for the gymkhana activity in Gibraltar. And finally, we would also like to highlight that maybe the day of on Women's Day we could watch Suffragettes. It is a brilliant film where students can learn more about the feminist movement and its origins in England, and of course develop positive attitudes towards gender development. And as I said, these are just some of the activities, so you can see my whole proposal on pages 24 to 25, and I will move now on to materials and resources. Here I would like to highlight that all of my materials will intend to be authentic, therefore realia, although sometimes we may adapt them to bring it in line with the students' level. So they will include TV series, brochures, films, newspapers, and dictionaries, multiple resources, of course. We were talking about technologies before. The European language portfolio will be paramount in the language classroom too. And also the development of reading skills is something to be highlighted here. And we will, the Department of English will decide the two contemporary novels that students will read at the beginning of September, but we provided some titles which could be a proposal. Some of them are Bad Karma, The Secret Life of Bees, and The Girl on the Train. And I will move on now to the mixed ability section. In the mixed ability section, we must bear in mind that according to Organic Law of Education 2/2006, LOE, students should receive personalized education, and the department and the tutor will offer multiple resources to cater for different learning styles. And I would like to highlight some of the measures that we can propose. Tasks, for example, since they do not depend on having any level of language ability, we could also like to propose collaborative work or cooperative learning, pair work and group work. Strong students can help weaker ones, and also reinforcement and remedial work. We will also find really relevant communicative activities, since they will boost active participation. And finally, I would also like to highlight the tutorial hours, of course, since students will have could schedule some one-to-one tutorships, or even with the whole group if necessary. We could carry out this kind of things. Now finally, I will move on to evaluation. And in the evaluation, as Order 18th October 2007 highlights, must be understood as an in-depth process of our learning activity. So it is important to highlight that it is a positive process for students and for learners. For students, it will provide a sense of accomplishment, and for teachers, it will guide us to know where the difficulties are, where the weaknesses are, and therefore to proceed with our learning and to make the most of it. We want to highlight diagnostic evaluation, which will be carried out during the first month of the year. Therefore, it will begin on the 15th of September, and students will have to this diagnostic evaluation will be composed by 3 different steps. So to speak, the first one is a pre-course questionnaire, where students will have to fill in some questions about their own learning styles and some general knowledge that we want to highlight. Second, the teacher will have to fill in an observation outline. And finally, an individual overall assessment where all the skills, the 4 skills plus 1, will be assessed and borne in mind. And I will now move on to evaluation criteria. We must know that this is a certification. A certification level, and therefore students will be evaluated in 3 different times, but it will be only the one in June which will carry the global mark, and therefore the one in June will be the only one which is the final and the decisive one. Okay, and it is important to highlight too that they will be assessed in the 4 different skills, and that they will have to obtain a 50% in each of these skills. And should students fail of any of the abilities, they will retake that particular part in September. And if they fail once again in September, they will have to retake the whole year. And the format and typology of the tasks, as well as the evaluation grids for oral production and interaction, as well as for written production and interaction. You can find them on pages 89 from 89 to 90 of my course planning, and I will finish now with the formative assessment. As I said, students will be evaluated in 3 different occasions, coinciding with the different terms. And although only the one in June will be the one which have the total weight, we must know the formative assessment provides with the insightful comments for the teachers and also for the students. So therefore, it should never be overlooked, and it will be carried out during lesson time and in the form of mock exams or different tasks that students can simply accomplish. And finally, self-assessment once again. Students will evaluate themselves at the end of each teaching unit, but since we believe, and also through the European language portfolio, students will be focused on self-assessment, but we also believe that the whole learning and teaching process should be evaluated, and therefore we have also proposed the regular use of a teacher self-assessment grid that you can find on page 93 in Appendix 1.